I've been a clinician for 21 years. It's amazing, the last 5 to 6 years, I would say, people are just quote unquote waking up. By waking up, I mean they're just accessing realities that are part of our world but we don't have access to. We're basically egocentric beings, and we're very stuck in a material world, so we think that we are the center of the world, and we think that what we can see palpably is all there is. The irony of that is that probably 90+% of electromagnetic phenomena, which is what's around us, is actually not visible to our 5 senses.
Our nation has been colonized to the herd mentality. And it's splitting at the seams. There's cracks appearing everywhere. In the environment, religion, government, the war, collapse of our economic system. And that is what we need for our planet, our lives, our children's lives, the nature that we live in. It needs us to wake up, each and every one of us. And each and every one of us has the power to change all of this.
What's enlightenment? Completely misunderstood. I think enlightenment has been sold to Westerners like some sort of spiritual package good, and in their naivety they bought it, hook, line and sinker. My teacher, he was a great Sufi master in India, and he said, enlightenment is just an expansion of consciousness. A child, a young child at the beginning, the mother's arms and the cot is their whole world. And then their consciousness expands, and suddenly it is the apartment or the house they live in. And that is a big expansion of consciousness. And then it's the neighborhood, and that's another enormous expansion of consciousness. Enlightenment is shift in consciousness.
Nanjing already happened. Auschwitz already happened. Mao Zedong already took down the culture of China. Hitler already gassed gypsies, Jews, homosexuals. We're already dead. The earth is already heated up. The ice shelves are already collapsing into the ocean. Bangladesh is already going into the waters. Well, what can you do? You do the best you can. I want to give it the best chance it's got to do the best that it can in this moment to free all beings, including myself, not to create a beautiful, fancy Zen prison.
When you say free, you use this word a lot. Free, freedom, free people. What exactly does that look like? What does that mean?
Well, free means it's not, take the key and unlock the door. It really has to do with a quality of mind and heart which is unhindered. Which is really, sense of boundlessness, openness.
In each individual is the capacity to imagine and to dream. Those are all potentials. Now, why would we have that capacity to imagine and dream, if in fact our destiny was 9 to 5, doing the same thing over and over and over and over in our life? Unfortunately, no one has really learned how to spiritually inspire people to be individuals, to root themselves to their natural calling as creationists. Whatever the same regime is, day in and day out, is the death to inspiration. And people get more bored and more bored and more bored with their life. When we're unfulfilled is when we're the most unpredictable. Unpredictability has a wonderful way of saying, this is it. I'm not going to live this way anymore. And they wake up.
What's the benefit of that?
What's the benefit of what?
Shattering your identity. I guess that'd be the same as
Because in Zen we call it the plague of identities, because you believe them like you believe your thoughts. I'd say, I believe I'm a Roshi, or I believe I'm a woman, or I believe I'm old, or I believe I'm tired, or I believe I'm full of life, or I believe. But that doesn't say anything about who I really am. It doesn't say all the identities that you carry as a white and a male and a southerner and a person who's had a mystical experience. It's not who you really are. So in a relationship with you, I'm much more interested in who you really are and not so interested in who you present yourself to be or what you do.
I don't mean in a rude intent, but what does that really mean?
I had a major surgery about 15 years ago, huge mess. And I'm there, you know, in the prep room, and I'm just shaking, like with fear. And I'm really sick. And a friend of mine bent over me and said, remember who you really are. And everything dropped away at that point. Because I wasn't that terrified woman on the gurney being, you know, wheeled toward the OR. I mean, I was more than that. I was deeper than that.
Now, organized religion has an interest, which is to propagate itself. Awakening or enlightenment is not about propagating, it's about dying. The real spiritual path is about dying. It's not about gaining anything. Gaining is the concept of the ego. Gaining is the concept of the material world. That's a very difficult thing that for us as Westerners to kind of get through our mind. So the concept of giving stuff up is not an easy thing to get across in this culture. World culture, really, right now, because the whole world's trying to emulate American culture, really.
All consciousness is interconnected and interdependent. And I think that's the real takeaway message from all of this, is that as Rusty Schweikert, the astronaut in Apollo 9, told me, he said he was up in space and he looked down and he saw the Earth and it was one thing. And I think that that's an important thing for all of us to recognize. We are one thing, one planet, one consciousness. And what happens to the least of us happens to the great number of us.